Welcome to Kojo's Pre-Algebra Chapter 13 review. I hope you're ready today to review and get ready for our test. Alright, what I want you to do right now is you're going to write the equations represented in standard form by the following information, these four things. And then what I want you to do is I want you to graph the inequality 3x minus 5y is less than or equal to 10. Pause the video, and when you're ready, come back and we'll go over the solutions. Welcome back! Let's see how you did. Alright. The first one is the most extensive, although you might have thought 1 and 4 is extensive, but there was a shortcut to the fourth problem, and we'll see if you picked that up. On the first one, I give you 2 points. You have to use a slope formula. You have to use slope-intercept form twice to write the equation of the line. The slope is 2/5. I find that the y-intercept is 24/5. My equation in standard form is 2x minus 5y is negative 24. One thing I want to caution you about that many of you I've seen make the same mistake consistently is that when we plug in, anytime we're going to clear fractions, if you go down here where I plugged in the point and the slope to find out the y-intercept, when I plug everything in and I want to get rid of the fraction and I'm going to multiply everything through by 5, many of you do say 5 times 6 and 5 times b, but you forget that middle term and you leave it as 6/5. That's the whole purpose of the reason why you're multiplying by the denominator, multiplying everything, is so that you can clear the denominator of the fraction. That'll really mess up your problem. If you can think of when you have on the right side, or the left side for that matter, depending on the type of problem that you have, this is really the distributive property. You're multiplying 5 times the quantity of 6/5 plus b. Maybe that'll help you remember to multiply everything by 5. Okay? Now, on the second problem, it should have been relatively quick and easy because I gave you the slope and the y-intercept. You plugged in the slope-intercept form and you should have gotten x plus 3y equals negative 21. On the third one, I gave you the slope and a point. You had to do a little bit of work to find the y-intercept, which was 1/2. Plugged it in. Now notice, this is not how necessarily what I want to show you work. See how I'm putting parentheses and I'm putting what I'm multiplying through underneath it? Here it was 4. I did that because I wanted you to see that the first thing I did was write 2 equals 3/2 plus b. Then I added giant parentheses and a 2. Normally it would be right to the side and here too, but I wanted to make sure that you saw that step. Because sometimes it gets very confusing when you're trying to check something and, you know, I can check it, but you're still early in the game. So I want to make that clear that that was a separate step. But anyway, you get x minus 4y equals negative 2. Okay, let's see how you did on the fourth problem and see if you caught it. I gave you 2 points, but they were the intercepts. You could have used, like we did with problem 1, you could have used slope formula, found the slope, then plugged that all into the slope-intercept form to find b, and so on and so forth. But hopefully, to save yourself some time, you recognize these are the intercepts, and you have the y-intercept. So you can plug that in immediately to slope-intercept form to find the slope, because you have the b and you have a point. The slope is 1, and the final answer was x minus y equals 2. Okay? Now, like I said, that's one way to do it, but you could have done it the other way too. It's a little bit longer, and remember, time is of the importance. So those little tricks that you can see, always look to see if you can gain any further information from the information given. That'll help you. Alright, here is the inequality 3x minus 5y is less than or equal to 10. And I drew these arrows because when I'm isolating the y and putting it in slope formula, slope-intercept form, just so I can graph it quick, I just make a quick sketch of the graph, I'm going to divide everything by -5. When I divide an inequality by a negative, what happens to the sign? It flips. That's why it's good when before you shade the area, that you put the point, whichever point you pick, you know I like to pick the origin, point 0, 0, that you plug it into both of these, because they should both be true. If they're not, then something's wrong. And it's usually you forgot to flip the sign when you divide it by a negative. So it's a solid line because it's less than or equal to. And I have it labeled, and again I put the inequality on the graph. You could have also written it in this form. It doesn't matter, because unless I specifically say I want standard form, you don't have to worry about that. What I want you to write down right now is I want you to pause in a moment. I want you to pause the video when I tell you to, and I want you to write down all the formulas that you need to know for this test. Okay, pause the video, and then when you write them all down, start the video and see if you've forgotten anything. Okay, let's see if you got all the formulas. Got to know the distance formula. Okay, and that's associated, what's that? Where does that come from? That's right, Pythagorean theorem, right? And you got to know that. You got to know how that fits together. And this is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? So, the midpoint formula, that's the distance of the hypotenuse, the middle point distance. Okay, you need to know slope formula, slope-intercept form, and what are the conditions of slope-intercept form. Some of you are getting confused, getting some of these things mixed up between the conditions of slope-intercept form and standard form. Standard form, what are they? What are the conditions? There are two. That's right. A has to be a positive 1 coefficient, and you cannot have any fractions in standard form. Slope-intercept form, the major condition, what is it? That's right. Y has to have a coefficient of positive 1. Some people get in here and on the last test, some of you made a mistake. You didn't isolate the Y. You left it with a coefficient other than positive 1, and it really got in your test score and threw you for a loop. So make sure you know those things. There's going to be word problems on the test, and they're going to have two variables where x and y are dependent on each other. They're going to be linear equations and linear inequalities. Okay, I'll probably put 2 to 4 word problems. You can kind of bet they're going to be a combination of graphing, writing an inequality and writing a linear equation and then graphing it. Okay? Don't forget, big mistake a lot of people made on the last test, be able to identify what the x and y intercepts are. And all you have to do to identify the x and y intercepts is plug in a 0 for x, solve for y, plug in a 0 for y, solve for x. You have your x and y intercepts. It's important to note that the x and y intercepts are sometimes the quickest way to get a feel for how, in a word problem especially, for how the material relates to each other. The two pieces of information that are dependent on each other, how they relate. Do you have a slow growth? Do you have a rapid growth? You can pretty much gather that if you just have the intercepts. Is it a decline? Is it an advancement? Is it inclining? Is it declining? Are they losing money? Are they dropping rapidly? Is it a slow growth or a rapid growth? X and Y intercepts are something quickly that you can do to gather information, to make a decision when you don't have much time. That's just like not a serious decision, not something that's really important, where there's a lot of money on the line, but just to see maybe if you might be really interested in pursuing something. You can sketch a quick graph in your head mentally to see what kind of growth there is. Alright, I've enjoyed working with you this year. I hope you have a great time getting ready for my test, and I feel really, really good about that. What that? Oh, Mr. Al thinks you're going to do fantastic. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you in class.